Hello folks, it's Madison. I'm back with another card video. This is another kind of Halloween Nightmare Before Christmas card. I know it is after Halloween, but I'm just starting early for the next Halloween card season. We only got like 362 days till next Halloween, so I better get ahead, you know? So for this card, I am starting off with my Jack Skellington. I used the Costume Party stamp set, masked him, stamped him, you know the drill, sketching with the pencil, going over with a Copic multi-liner, and erasing. For Oogie Boogie, I am using this bear dude from the Party Animal stamp set. I also have these other images. The sack is from the Ho Ho Holidays stamp set, and the bathtub is from the Rub-a-Dub stamp set from Fawn. I just went through my stash and I kind of thought, I have some materials and images I could use to kind of whip up another Nightmare Before Christmas card, and I just wanted to make this before I forgot my ideas. So I saw the tub when I was going through the stamps we had, and I thought of the Kidnap the Sandy Claus scene from the movie with the trick-or-treaters, Lock, Shock, and Barrel. So I thought I could recreate those and they'd make a cool card. I also have some other ideas for a Nightmare Before Christmas card maybe. So if you're interested in seeing that later on, just let me know in the comments. Subscribe to the channel if you want to see what else I'm putting out soon. I will start doing Christmas cards hopefully next week, but I just really wanted to do some Halloween cards still. I love Halloween and I'm just kind of bummed that it's over, but anyways, I had stamped my images onto some cardstock and I'm coloring them with my Copic markers. There's nothing really to it, especially considering that two of these characters I had made previously in other card videos, so I will put a link here if you want to go watch my other Nightmare Before Christmas card, where I do show you exactly just how I made my Oogie Boogie character and Mr. Skellington. But I'm really doing nothing different in this video, but I thought I would show my process in case you haven't seen that. But I do recommend going and watching that other video because I worked really hard on it. I don't believe I did show it, but I did stamp my bathtub and then I freehanded those trick-or-treater characters. I did sketch them with a pencil, looking at some reference images, and then I just kind of tried my best to emulate kind of the Fawn drawing style. I don't think I really did the greatest job, but they looked good enough for me to want to put them on a card. Here I am coloring my Jack Skellington character, and I'm using this same combination of grays, being N9, N7, and N5 Copic markers, and I'm pretty much coloring the entirety of Mr. Skellington's apparel because he kind of wears all black in the movie. As you can see, I also use that to color my Santa bag and Oogie Boogie's face details, I guess you would call that. Yeah, so this, as I said before, this kind of was inspired by the Kidnap the Sandy Claus scene from the movie, which another great track from the film, very catchy, and it's where these children plot to kidnap Santa Claus, and they plan a multitude of ways of kidnapping him, and It's really funny because it's just so jarring. Some of the things that they come up with. I don't know, I found it quite interesting. Definitely one of my favorite scenes in the movie. So I guess maybe you could even consider this a Christmas card because Santa Claus is somehow entailed into this. Technically, he's in the bag because he's been kidnapped. But I kind of made this a Halloween card because I just felt like it would be too weird to be a Christmas card, especially for someone who hasn't seen the movie. So, and once again, I'm taking those same grays and I'm coloring his face. This card really didn't have much colored images. There's only 4 and they're quite big, so I mean there was quite a fair deal of coloring going into this, but like there wasn't a lot. I didn't have like a multitude of images I'm trying to color, so coloring went by quite fast. So yeah, and the color palette once again isn't very big. I just kind of picked the colors that I really needed. I didn't really set out a specific color combination I wanted to follow because I just wanted to kind of recreate the movie as best as I could. So yeah, another thing I was thinking of while making this was the Oogie Boogie character. In my previous video, I did cover him with glow-in-the-dark embossing powder, which is very cool. Check it out. And I kind of colored him this same burlap color, but I felt like it'd be really neat if you colored him kind of like a neon green instead. So if you are gutsy enough to try to recreate this, first of all, take a picture and send it to me on Instagram. I would love that so much. But I think coloring him green would also be a really cool option. So, because he kind of is green in the movie too. So, and here I am using some violets to color this rip in his seams. As you can see, I am taking those same violets I used to color Mr. Oogie Boogie, and I'm coloring in this little witch character. I'm not too sure which one of the 3 she is, but I colored the majority of her a violet color. So yeah, I found one of the most interesting lines from the song in the movie was, let me see here, throwing him in a box and burying him for 90 years, then see if he talks. Like, excuse me, that is so absurd to throw Santa Claus in a box for 90 years just to see what kind of mental detriment you can bring upon him. You know, Santa's a great guy. Why would you want to do that to him? But I guess that's like the whole point of the song. So yeah, interesting. Once again, watch the movie if you haven't. It's a great film. It's very like a November film, if you know what I mean. Like, it's a Halloween movie, it's a Christmas movie, it's got it all, and it's very November because it's got some Halloween, it's got some Christmas, and it's kind of an in-between film. And I feel like it's just such a good movie for those reasons, because you can watch it for about 3 months straight, and that's perfectly okay. It's totally socially acceptable. So here I am coloring the devil dude, and for the majority of his coloring I used about 3 markers for almost the entirety of him, and I just used various techniques. So for his mask, I wanted it a paler color, so I took my lighter color and I laid a flat wash, and then I used a tip touch technique to just kind of fade in some darkness, add some dimension. And then for his hair and his clothes, I kind of stuck with a darker color palette. So yeah, it's kind of nice how with Copics you can layer them and use different coloring techniques to kind of get the most out of your colors and your markers. So I just thought that'd be an interesting thing to note. Alright, so I'm taking my jelly roll. It's 10 point in white, and I'm adding some details to my characters. Just a little bit. I'm going to add more later. But I'm just making my fella on the left look like a skeleton, and I'm kind of cleaning up some lines and adding some dots to their cheeks for some detail. And then I will take a black jelly roll or a glaze pen, and I'm going to add pupils to their eyes so they look more like they have a soul. For my die cutting for this card, I have these trees cut and trimmed to size from Craft Cardstock. They are from the Lift the Flap tree backdrop die from Fawn. I have this road from the road border die cut out from Fawn. I have 2 hills that I have cut to size with my large Slimline die, and then used the stitched hillside borders and the simple stitched hillside borders to cut them into hills. And I have a large Slimline rectangle here for my base. The things that are cut out in white are all from 90-pound cardstock, I believe. And for my backdrop, I decided to do kind of a spooky sky. So I took some speckled egg and I kind of marked off how high I needed my blending to be. So from the bottom, I am just using some speckled egg, and I'm just kind of roughly applying this. I didn't try to get the smoothest blend. And then I'm taking some black soot oxide inks, and I'm just blending that from the top down, just trying to fade that as best as I could into the speckled egg. With my background ink blended, I am adding some water droplets on a clean paintbrush to my background to reactivate some of the inks and remove them. And I'm going to be dabbing that off with a little paper towel after I let that sit for about 30 seconds to allow it to really activate with the inks. And then I'm using some distress ink in black soot, activating that with some water, getting that as dark as I can. I needed a second smush just to make sure that they showed up as black dots. And I'm adding some black spatter, and I just think the background for this is so beautiful. I'm tempted to make other cards kind of with the same technique because I thought it just looked really nice. It's nothing like I've done before. So yeah, for my road, I'm just adding some dimension with some of my black soot inks I had on my desk with me. It's not necessary, I just thought it added something to it. And then for my hills, I am taking Shaded Lilac, Wilted Violet, and Dusty Concord Distress Oxide inks, and I'm applying them to my hills. Now, the paper I cut them out with was kind of a new one that we're trying out here at home, me and my mom, to see if we like it. And I don't know, I felt like it kind of resisted the inks, or I didn't absorb them right away. So they kind of appear really patchy at the beginning, but I did end up working with them enough to get them to work. They just were kind of slippery. It was just different, I suppose. But I'm using Dusty Concord on the bottom of the hill, blending that up to the Wilted Violet, and then adding Shaded Lilac at the top. And I did that with both of my hill pieces, but I don't show both, just to try to shorten the video as much as possible. Alright, next I'm assembling these trees. So I'm taking this Tombow tape runner and I'm applying it to around these little cutouts, but not on the flaps. And I have some little pieces of this holographic cardstock from Fawn cutout, and I'm placing that behind so that these kind of look like the little portals in the trees in the woods from the movie. And I'm just making sure those flaps are creased. And I'm taking this Tombow sanding eraser to make sure I don't have any glue on them, so they don't really stick down. I really want my recipient to know that these are kind of interactive in a way. And then I'm adding some tape runner, and I'm going to be attaching that near the top of my card. If you want to add images and stuff to the flaps of these trees, I feel like it would be really neat to add like an Easter egg or a Christmas tree to them to make them look more like they are in the movie. But I thought that they looked quite neat the way that they are, especially with this holographic paper. I feel like it really kind of ties all the colors in this card together. And then I'm taking my tape runner and I'm just assembling the other bits and bobs of this card. So I'm using it to adhere my big hill piece, and then yeah, I'm just building my scene here. So I didn't show this when I was doing all of my die cutting because this was kind of an afterthought. I thought the bottom was just lacking a little, so I did use my Grassy border die and my large Slimline die to cut out this black kind of glittery paper grass piece for the bottom, just to add something else. And here I am gluing down my little road and trimming off the excess. So next I just kind of laid out my images onto my scene to make sure that I liked what I had. I also have this little banner die. I believe it's from the Double Slider Surprise. It's small enough to fit across the top, so I felt like it would be perfect to use. So I'm just making sure I like the placement, and then I'm taking these black thin foam squares and I'm just adhering all my characters down. So yeah. I had cut out one of those banners from some gray cardstock, and I also cut another one out of some pearlescent vellum from Fawn. However, it's kind of off screen and you can't see it. And I am just stamping a trick or treat sentiment from the costume party stamp set. Here's that pearlescent banner. And I'm just adding some stars to kind of fill up the space. I felt like it was a little empty. There's lots of stars and a whole bunch of different Fawn stamp sets, so use what you got. And I'm just kind of gluing these together in an offset fashion to kind of look like there is a cool background, if you will. I just thought it would add more interest to what would be kind of a boring banner. And I am gluing that to the top of my card. And for some final embellishments, I am using some of these Recollections Halloween glitter bits, I guess. I'm pretty sure they don't have these anywhere because I think we got these quite a few years ago at Halloween, but I'm pretty sure you could find other things that are similar to this. I just needed something to fill the space on this card a little bit because there's so much empty space that I wanted to add something to it so it looks a little less naked. So I'm adding these cool purple bats everywhere. Once again, do whatever you want. You can leave it, you can add glitter, you can add sequins. It's all up to what you want to do. So I added 5 because things just look better in odd numbers, and I'm using some multi-matte medium glue to glue those down. I also end up adding some little stars with that glue as well. And here I am using some stickles that my friend got me. So nice. Thank you, Rachel. I'm using some holographic stickles on some of my characters just to add some more glitter. And of course I use some gel pens for details. And I'm going to glue that onto a card base, and that's about it for this card. So feel free to follow me on Instagram. Products and stuff are linked in the description, as well as links to my Instagram. And if you want, comment, like, subscribe. It all is a good way to help this channel, and I appreciate all the love and support. And if you want, check out some of my other videos, you know? It's all great. So here's some final shots of my card, and thank you so much for watching. Have a lovely day.